it's brave work to show up in the world with your truth, knowing that your truth may offend, may hurt.
It takes
And I think
courage. It takes courage to do
it does
healing.
take courage. And I think also too, for me, what I recognize within the work that I was doing with Dance Away Home is there was so much wounding in our sisterhood, because Dance Away Home was specifically, I say was because I'm not facilitating it any longer, but and maybe in the future I will again. But it was strictly a women's ecstatic dance practice. Um, and so for me, there was this, the sisterhood piece was so important, to help heal the wounds of our sisterhood, to help release us from all the comparisons and the way that we put each other down as women, and don't, like, the way we're not often, we aren't allies to each other, that we're not cheerleading each other. We hear this woman has success, we're going to like put them down in some way, or because maybe it's lacking in us and we want to be there, but they are, that's not fair. They've got the guy, they've got the job, they've got the family, who knows. And I feel like, we've been kind of, we've grown up in this notion of almost being pitted against each other, that we are the competition. And it's like, no, 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 no. We need each other. Like, I can't even imagine where I would be without my sisters, without my girlfriends, the wise women in my life. I need them. We need each other. And we need each other to be mirrors for each other, to love each other, to be cheerleaders, to be allies. And so that was another reason why I felt very strongly about, as much as I love to be in, all genders and non-binary, it's all like, it's beautiful. All expressions are beautiful. But this particular piece for me was about that healing aspect of women meeting women, or women identifying as women meeting each other, and saying, wow, you are me, I am me, but you are me as well. We are mirrors for each other. And I celebrate. That's why the partner dance is so important in my mind, because we get to celebrate this being in front of us. And what an opportunity, what a joy to be able to be in the same space with this person. And they may be crying and I might be laughing, and, I mean, that's kind of an extreme case.
It happens.
But you know what I mean? It's this honoring of your emotions matter, who you are matters. I want to know what your dance is. I want to know who you are, because you are precious, and vice versa.
And that everything is okay. Whatever it is fine. But I think that, that community and is very much an aspect of the feminine. And unfortunately, even as women, we have lost the feminine. We're all living in a masculine world, and even
Yeah.
women are taking on those traits. So I think if
Yeah.
the feminine is going to reemerge, it obviously has to reemerge with women first. I mean, that's our essence, so we need to really bring it back in, but we need to learn it because we've forgotten it. So I think it's so important that women get together with other women and reaffirm what the feminine is, and those aspects of community and holding space, and not having to be perfect. I mean, we need the masculine, we need that separation. Everything is important, but that's the world we're living in, and we need to balance that with the other side, and that hasn't happened. So I think to create a space where women can express and be creative, And it does take courage because we've all been taught to criticize. And I think that critical aspect, a lot of that is just a desire to want to do something right. So in order to do something right, we have to figure out what's wrong. And so we've gone into that critical aspect because we are trying to figure out what's wrong. So we criticize each other, we criticize ourselves, and maybe we just don't need to do that. Maybe we can just experience, and if it doesn't work out quite right, then maybe that wasn't the right way to do it. Instead of having to know the answer before we even try to do something, just to be
Yeah.
playful and creative, and let that be allowed. And I think as women, we need to do that. We need to come together, do that, relearn that, and just put that energy out there of being like that, so that it becomes socially acceptable, and so that we hone those skills. We don't have those skills anymore, I think. Most of us have lost that.
Yeah, and I would say that it's all of us, male, female, however we identify. I think just the culture that we grow up in and the patriarchy itself, that container itself, um,
But we've all bought into it.
absolutely we
So
have.
we as women need to say, wait a minute, there's another way, and it's important too, and let's recreate the balance. So yes, maybe everybody needs to go that way, but I do think as women we need to show the way back. Yeah.
Well, I think also we're so wired to be in connection that I think often, and I've experienced this in myself, that fear of if I reveal too much, if I share too much of who I am, maybe I won't be accepted, I will be outed, I will, because we all want to belong. Ultimately, we want to feel we want to feel loved. We want to be cherished. We want to feel that our contribution matters. And but growing up, and if we don't get that A, if we don't do that, if we color inside the box and not out, if we outside, then that's not good. And all the ways that we have been judged. And then that inner critic, like, I often say, like, you want to be surrounded by cheerleaders because our own inner critic is doing a good enough job. We don't need external critics to add to that.
Yep.
We got our own
I've got it.
voices. We all do.
I've got my own. I don't need everybody else. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, okay, so maybe I can actually like breathe in this situation. Maybe I can actually relax. Again, that's why we always started a dance. We always started with the relaxation. Like, oh, can I just be held by the earth? Can I just like lie on the floor and just, I don't have to do anything. I don't need to perform. I don't need to know left or right. I don't, none of that. Like, just, oh, can I just breathe, please?
I think people have forgotten that the first most important thing is to just show up.
I say that all the time.
Just
Yes.
be the and the people who are really not respected are the people who always show up. Like that person that's always there, even if they don't do anything. Like mothering, like just to be there and sit. And you don't have to be doing, but we judge everything about on productivity rather than
Yeah.
presence, and
Yeah.
that isn't it. Like, so those people who just show up and maybe don't do anything, nobody's paying attention. And I think we need to
Mm.
reintegrate that, like, because there are people who will always show up and always be there, and they aren't the ones with the loud voice, but they're always there, and they're holding that space and holding energy. And that's so important. That's so important. And I really
Love
think
that.
people are not noticing, not that they need to notice, but honoring. Maybe that's
I
a
love
better
that
word.
so much. Just even just like the vision of just being, I was just saying last night to a friend that I wish the world was run by grandmothers.
Well, some societies are, indigenous societies are. I mean,
Yeah.
they're the wise women, absolutely, and that's what they do. Because
The
as you get older,
tending
maybe
and
you can't
mending.
actually do anything. I know this being a grandmother that I'm not gonna run around with the kids, but I can be there. I can sit there.
Yes,
I can sit there, I
yes,
can watch them, I can make sure they don't hurt themselves, and that is that is ultimately important, but nobody's paying attention to things like that. They're paying attention to
yes,
what you're doing. Did you make the food? Did you go make the money? Did you go, no, just be there. So yes, I
yes.
think we need to honor that. And I remember recently somebody saying, and I apologize for not remembering who it was, but somebody saying in their workshops that that it was okay if somebody just showed up and didn't want to do anything, that was fine. They could just go lay down over there. And I thought, yes, like there are times when you're completely overwhelmed to do something. And if we had that option, I bet we would go to classes even when we felt like we didn't really want to participate, but just again to go there and be present and maybe just to hold the space for other people.
Well, I was one of those facilitators.
Yes.
Absolutely. Again,
Yeah.
honoring what you need, listening, listen, listen, like listen. And then you can tend, right? You can pay attention. You can tend what needs to be done, what needs to be expressed.